Wow, he seemed excited.
I figured I just one American would say that. It would be me.
Yay, Bill O'Reilly. Bill, what do you think of that last monologue with Google?
Well, the main fallacy, word of the day, fallacy of Google is that it allows false information to be put on its service. So, everybody, well, this is a beacon of freedom, and it's access to all information, and yeah, okay, but say I decide to write a smear piece about stew, okay?
Impossible.
And yeah,
that would be that would be fine on Google.
I throw it on out there in Newsweek, which is currently out of business, but they have an internet presence, and they hate anyone who's not ultra liberal.
Okay.
Print it. Okay. Well, Google will throw it right into the system. It won't check anything, won't do anything, so it'll be there. And so if you look up stew and you put STU in there, bang, this article comes up. So Google, from its inception, has been a flawed and, in some cases, dangerous vehicle because it allows unfiltered stuff to go in, and people believe it. So when
wait a minute, wait.
Go ahead.
Would you say the Library of Congress is dangerous?
Nobody goes to the Library of Congress. Nobody.
We keep a record of every single book. They have the Satanic Bible in the Library of Congress.
Come on. Let's get into the real world here.
I am in the real world. I don't believe that information is dangerous. It is
even false information, even
false.
Information?
You should read my new book called Addicted to Outrage, where I quote the founders on that.
I'm looking forward to it. You didn't send it to me. I sent you my new book, Killing the SS, with a nice inscription.
And I read it. Well, I didn't get the one with the inscription, but I did read it, and it's very, very good. I would like you
to send me yours. I
will, because it has a lot to say about the press.
You're going to sit there and tell millions of people listening to you that there's no danger in having an organization just put stuff up.
Nope.
That has not been vetted at all.
Well, nope. So are you looking at Google as almost like a media organization itself? Because it strikes me in your example that Newsweek is the one with a responsibility there.
Come on,
not
Newsweek
Google.
has no responsibility. The press is corrupt. Look,
wait, but that's
it's their fault.
Yeah,
kids use Google. This is what I'm worried about, really. Children, and you're a child until you're 18. Under the legal definition of law. Children,
26.
Okay, use Google as a Bible.
I know.
And they don't know the difference between a smear and factual.
Well, I would say the same thing about Wikipedia. Wikipedia has a lot of stuff up on there about me, I'm sure about you, that's just not true, out of context. But wait a minute. That's for us as citizens to educate ourselves and say, what you find, Wikipedia is not the Bible. Honestly, Bill, it's like going and reading one book in a library and say, this is it. No, there's a whole library there. This book doesn't have the truth in it. This doesn't necessarily have the truth. It may have a slice of the truth.
How often is that stated to the urchins and the people of America?
And whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that?
It's the fault of the media in the sense that they're not searching for the truth. They don't care. But when you go to China, look, China is, if you've been there, and I have, China is a country that is about as oppressive as it gets, all right? And everyone should know that. Yeah, we have to do business with the Chinese because we ran up such a debt that they buy our U.S. treasuries and they're funding America. Okay. But as a society, it's absolutely repressive and it's absolutely brutal. But China has basically figured out that Google, all right, is not going to tell the truth about anything. And so they don't want the truth, China. I mean, it's certainly not looking for it, and certainly don't want it. But I'm not that outraged about China and its censorship when I see the decline of truth in America.
So wait a minute. If Bill O'Reilly were king, okay, it's not the way our government works, but if you were king,
yes,
would you tell Google which websites to censor?
No. What I would do if I were king, well, first of all, you would be banished.
Well, I know that. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd be on a pike
someplace. You'd be out in Tonga someplace.
Yes, I got it.
What I would do if be king would be say that defamation is a crime. I would make it a criminal act. And therefore, the self-censorship would kick in because these slime merchants and gutter snipes wouldn't want to go to my dungeon.
I cannot wait to have you debate, not me, the founders in the book Addicted to Outrage. They had this very debate when they came up with the Sedition Act. The guys who were standing for free speech loved it until they were running the government, and then they hated that.
Well, wait a minute. You're putting me on the side of not wanting to know information, but I do, and that's the only good thing.
No. The founders were very, very clear on the press being able to say really anything, even if they knowingly made it up, they should have the right to print it.
But the founders had no idea.
Oh, my gosh. Well, they didn't know about machine guns either.
Right. But they had no idea that now the world, the country can be manipulated by a click.
Yes, they do. They do that because
no, they did not.
Great Britain was doing it. They were trying to shut down the press back then with Great Britain.
And they were basically a click, and they changed the world.
Right. Yeah. All right. Back with Bill O'Reilly here in just a second.
Yeah.
The news of the week when we return with Bill O'Reilly. This is the kind of debate that Americans should be having right now. We should not be doing left and right. We should be talking about the meaning of our rights.
Quick question. Is it possible with Amazon on the internet to go on and buy both Addicted to Outrage and Killing the SS at the same time? And like you put it in the same cart and they would ship it to the same location?
Well,
is that something that's possible?
If you pre-order his book, it will say books that people buy together an awful lot. And it will show mine, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so if you go to mine, it'll probably show Bill O'Reilly's too. You should go buy both. His book is fantastic, Killing the SS. It's really, really worth it. Go get it. And my book is, well, worth more. It is. It's just, you'll at least get the truth, about what's really happening today. Oh, SS. Yeah, well, this is what's happening today. And it's Addicted to Outrage. Buy them both together now. With Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Bill, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Colorado baker. The Colorado baker has gone from prosecution to persecution. What this guy has gone through for the last few years is obscene. I think Anthony Kennedy gave a wink and a nod to Colorado and said, no, just don't say these things and you'll be okay. And now they're coming after him for another cake. Your thoughts on this?
I don't like these stories because they are, as you pointed out, loaded with agenda on both sides in the sense that, look, if a guy doesn't want to bake a cake for religious reasons, I think that should be respected. So if you're a Muslim baker, all right, and a guy comes in and says, I want a cake for a bachelor party with a Playmate of the Month on it, and the Muslim guy goes, no, I'm not going to do that because I think it's, against my religion. Do you think you would have this kind of an outcry?
No, you'd have people on the left supporting the Muslim baker.
All right, so that, and I think everybody listening understands that this is basically a continuation of the press. It always comes back to the media. taking up the cause of LGBT people.
But I don't think this is the cause of LGBT people. This is the cause of people that are postmodernist and quite honestly, I think statists. This is a guy who doesn't have a problem with LGBT people. He won't make a Halloween cake. Okay, so it's not some extremist that is against gay people.
No, and then
he deeply believes his religion to the point where he won't make anything for Halloween.
Right, but they keep targeting him.
Yes.
So they know that they could get a cake made by anybody else, but this is what I'm talking about. They keep targeting him.
Yes. It's
because they know the media will pick it up and then make it about persecution of LGBT people. So it always comes back to the media, always. If the media would say, you know what, I'm really not interested in this story. We know that it's a frame. We know that they're picking this guy out because they want to make a larger point. So we're not gonna cover it. We stop. Because everybody knows that the guy is very, very orthodox in his view and doesn't want to make a bunch of cakes based on religious principle. So leave him alone, right?
I think so. I agree with the Bill of Rights. I'm an absolutist on the Bill of Rights. So, I don't understand how this is even an issue with any thinking human being that doesn't want to live in a world where whoever's in charge, can decide what you have to think, do, say, create.
Yeah, but Beck, you're sounding almost like Little Bo Peep here, because the Bill of Rights gives Americans a framework in which they can live.
No, it does not.
No, wait a minute.
I won't let you get away with that. No,
hear me out.
The Bill of Rights gives the government a framework in which it can live within.
All right, fine. But the people make up the government. So you basically have this structure, which has been fantastic, and somebody tell Andrew Cuomo.
Please.
All right. But it's now not that way anymore. What's happened is there are certain Americans that have more rights than others.
Because we've gone away from the Bill of Rights.
Well, okay, but that's not the motivation. The motivation is revenge for past mistakes.
I don't think so. I think with postmodernism, I think that's what I used to believe. I think it is now the destruction of the Western world and anything that built this system.
Well, yeah, on the real fringe it is. But again, the mass message that's sent by the news media, the comedians, and late night,
yes.
the show, the mass
yes.
message is sent is, look, these people have really more rights than you do because, they were enslaved and they were bullied and all of that. So we have to make it up to them.
Okay.
I think it's more important that we should focus on the fact that Glenn is looking more like Little Bo Peep. Honestly, day by day. That's the issue.
We're going to take a quick break before I lose total control of this broadcast. Come back with Bill's opinion on Andrew Cuomo and so
Glenn
much more.
Beck, Mercury.
Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Bill.
Yo.
In a brain wrestling event, which Cuomo would pin the other one fastest? Would it be Andrew or Chris?
I know the family very well. I knew the father because I was a local reporter in New York, Mario Cuomo, former governor. I know the mother, Matilda, very nice woman. The two kids are the victim of political correctness. This is a contagion, and they have it. They caught it. I think Mario Cuomo, hearing his son Andrew say that, would have, taken him in the back of the backyard and said, hey, look, Mario Cuomo regrets this. I said earlier on BillO'Reilly.com that I believed he was going to run against Donald Trump in 2020. This is before he said it. This almost disqualifies him now from getting the Democratic nomination for president next time around. It'll haunt him the rest of his life.
Okay, wait. Explain the role of Cynthia Nixon in that commentary.
All right. Cynthia Nixon, the actress on Sex and the City, also played Nancy Reagan in my movie Killing Reagan, is a far-left kook. No threat to Andrew Cuomo. None. She's polling about 22%, 25% in New York. Cuomo will steamroll her in the primary. Okay? But Andrew is the kind of guy that wants everybody on the left to love him, so he's moved sharply left because Cynthia Nixon is one of these socialists and, one of these people. So he's intemperate, another word of the day for Stu, intemperate in his public remarks, and thinks he can say what he wants to say, and then he can go back to the center-ish when he wants to run against Trump. But to say that America is, quote, not really a great country. We're really not a great country. It's really not all that great. That's the quote. And you look at the Cuomo family, immigrants from Italy, and how they have risen up and achieved power and money, and you say, "Are you kidding me? Is this ridiculous? Do you not know about World War I, World War II? Do you not know about the Civil War? Do you not know about the collapse of the Soviet Union? Add it all up. Billions of human beings have been saved by the United States. Billions. What other country in the history of the world can say that? No other country. It is not even close. So just that fact alone makes America great. The fact that we, through our blood and treasure and sacrifice, have saved and gave freedom to billions of people. Just that. And yet Andrew Cuomo has, the impertinence, another word of the day, to stand up.
Too many words. So now let me switch to his brother, Chris, who this week I thought Andrew was trying to do a solid for his brother, and he's like, oh, my brother just said something incredibly stupid. Let me say something even more stupid to take the pressure off of Chris. Chris came out and said that the violence of Antifa, if you're standing up against a Nazi, is okay. It's morally justified.
He used to work at Fox News. Was he there when you were there?
No.
Okay. So I remember Chris Cuomo walking into my office one time, and he was a correspondent at Fox. He was not a commentator. And we had a nice conversation, and he was just asking me about, how to do certain things. And very bright kid, looked to be sincere to me. So, again, the victim of political correctness. So he sees this unbelievable rise of neo-Nazism in America. This is where you start.
Incredible rise, 24 people.
It's just there in the street. So after months of publicity for the neo-Nazis to show up in Charlottesville, Virginia, 24 show up. I guess there was a convention of neo-Nazis somewhere else.
Yeah, I love the press reporting that it was under 40. At that point, you can't count to 24. I mean, you can see them right there. You can count. You don't need to estimate. You can count them.
Beck, I understand it was a cruise, a neo-Nazi cruise. Carnival,
right.
And they were all on
it. Yep.
Yeah. And then in D.C., fewer. All right. So the movement, okay, this brown shirt movement, all right, has not materialized yet. That's a fact. And yet Chris Cuomo sees it as this horrendous threat. And if you oppose it, even if you're an anarchist who will attack police and set businesses on fire, that's all right because you're opposing the neo-Nazis, who are, of course, the direct threat to liberty in America. This is how crazy it is. Facts are out the window. But they believe what they say.
Do you think that because I said this when I was at Fox, that the Democrats thought they could get into bed with the uber left and, we'd all play together nicely. And I said, at some point, they're going to realize, oh, you people are dead. We're going to start taking you out because we're going to have the real power. That's happening right now. Do you think that the Democrats and those who support more middle of the road, blue dog Democrat kind of stuff in today's world. I don't mean like my grandfather's blue dog Democrat. But people who are just like, no, I'm not really for, changing the government and being a socialist nation. Do you think those people are starting to wake up at all as they're being attacked from the left?
Yes, I do. I do think that Democrats, particularly those not on the east or west coast, those in the middle of the country, Minnesota, I think you're seeing that. I think they are getting frightened about this crazy stuff. I think the Andrew Cuomo thing is going to, wake them up too, and say, you know what? Our party, number one, we don't have any leadership in the Democratic Party. There are no Democratic leaders.
No. You have Keith Ellison.
Yeah, well, look, innocent until proven guilty on Ellison.
I know.
I want to say that.
I know.
Okay.
That's not the standard that they've held for others.
Of course not, but we are better than that.
Amen.
And the second thing is that these far-left people are really dangerous. And not in the way you may think, because Americans are never going to embrace socialism. It's not going to happen. But they'll do anything, and I mean anything, to destroy people with whom they disagree. And I'm a victim of it. You are to some extent. They'll do anything. And this is dangerous. And if Chris Cuomo thinks that neo-Nazis are the problem, they're not. It's his own far-left cadre that's the problem in this country right now, that want to subvert an election, that won't stand up for any kind of truth-seeking. These are the people that are the real danger.
Let me switch topics. Go to Brennan. Tell me the story of Brennan from your point of view.
All right. Well, Brennan basically is a money maker with him. Okay, so he signs on to MSNBC. And you see this in a lot of these guys. So he's getting paid, all right? And he wants to build up a following so that he can write books, he can do lectures. There's a lot of money attached to ideology, a lot of it. So Brennan gets on, and who's the easiest target? Donald Trump. And who's MSNBC's management telling him to savage? Donald Trump. So, being good boy, he goes on and he starts, all right? Now, the problem is that he has a lot more gravitas as being former CIA director than the usual idiots they parade in over there.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody knows who they are and whatever they say.
Well, let's just make sure that we don't discount that he is the guy who said the Muslim Brotherhood is largely secular, so he's still an idiot. He's just a known idiot.
All right. Well, he's an idiot who had a very powerful position.
Yes.
So they use that. They exploit that. So then when he gets slapped by a person who's more powerful than he is, then he's the victim. Oh, I'm the victim. I lost my own. Well, what did you expect to happen, John? What did you expect? Do you expect that you can every night go on and cut the guy's throat? And then after he loses it, he goes, oh, I know there's Russian collusion. I know Trump did it. I know Trump colluded with the Russians. Okay, let's see the proof of that, John. You're the CIA director. Give me something to back it up. Nothing. So the guy's irresponsible, number one. Number two, he paints himself as a victim, as, that you expect that. And number three, no one cares what John Brennan thinks. No one. I think Omarosa is a little bit more popular.
You're just going to say
Brennan.
that. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
One last thing. Omarosa. She's now released another worthless tape. She says she has 200 of them. Whether she does or doesn't, I don't know. But the ones she's releasing are, hey, do you like diet soda better than regular soda? I mean, it's just so stupid.
Right.
But she has proven herself now to be everything that I always thought she was, conniving. She's got, if she's to be taken at her word, which there's no reason to do, if she has 200 tapes, she started taping people during the election. She knew exactly what she was going to do the entire time.
Well, number one, I never watched The Apprentice in my life, and I knew who she was. She was offered to my program. I, of course, never used her because we didn't use surrogates on either side. I don't care what she says. What she says is insignificant. Anybody who would tape people at the extent that she had is not trustworthy, is a bad person. I'm sure she had the eye on a big prize at the end. She was going to use tapes to get a book. She has a book. It's all about money for her, just like Brennan, and the story is over on Monday. It's over for her on Monday.
Bill O'Reilly, when's your book come out?
October 9th. One more thing, Beck. Mm-hmm. I was with Kelsey Grammer last night, and stunningly...
Oh, really? I was with Jesus. How's that? Okay, does that make your story feel a little small? Yeah, it does.
Always when I speak to you, I feel insignificant. Always.
All right, go ahead, name drop. You were with Kelsey Grammer last night.
Yeah. And without any prompting or anything like that, he goes, I really like that Glenn Beck radio program. And I went, what? What?
No, Kelsey's been, he's a drunk. He's a drunk.
That's why he likes the program.
Yeah, I know. I like Kelsey. I've met him a couple of times. I really like him.
I dropped my hors d'oeuvre right on the side. Look at him. Are you mad?
Oh, you were even at a place that had hors d'oeuvres. Wow.
I had to pay for them.
Wow. Okay, Bill. Great talking to you. Your book comes out.
We'll see you next week.
You got it.
Stu.
Killing the SS. Pick up his book and buy him as a set. You can buy my book as well. Comes out at on September 18th. That's Addicted to Outrage and Killing the SS. You're not going to be disappointed in either of them. And it'll keep you reading this fall.
Talking about. Come together right now. Welcome back to the program. If you want to be heard, 855-40-LAURA is the number to call. Let's go to Jay in Memphis on line 1. Jay, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yep, fire away.
Oh, it's Portland. I'm in Portland, Maine.
Oh, okay. Must be a typo. Memphis, Portland. Today? Good.
What's the difference? How's your morning going?
Great. Go ahead.
Afternoon.
Yep. Go ahead.
So I'm calling. You were talking with your guest earlier about the education system in America. And if I could, I'd just like to give a synopsis of my experience in our education system. I went to liberal arts school, 2 separate ones in Massachusetts, and majored in history. My grandfather taught history. Big fascination with the Second World War. And all of my classes revolved around kind of a negative view of the United States. For example, the CIA in Latin America, or even learning American history from the viewpoint of the British. I never had a objective class. I never had a pro-American class, which I found to be very interesting. And then, life took a turn. I ended up being addicted to heroin. A lot of people in the country are going through this. I struggled a lot, and I got myself better. I started living on my own, became self-sufficient, working, paying taxes, supporting myself. And that's when I realized, and that's when I first listened to Rush Limbaugh and Laura Ingraham and Mark Levin, and I totally realized that everything I was taught was useless. I mean, it was all factual information, but I was taught to dislike my country. I was taught to support Karl Marx. I was taught that capitalism is a negative, dangerous thing. And none of it was true, and none of it had any use or function in today's society. And thank God for what you guys do. You're doing a great job whenever you fill in. I love hearing you. And, the educational system has a lot of problems.
Well, thank you, Jay, very much for that. Yours is a sad story, but with a happy ending. I mean, congratulations on getting your life turned around and on seeing the light. Let me ask you this, Jay. Of all those kids that you went to school with who were fed the same misinformation, where are they today? I mean, do you think most of them have figured it out, or are they still going down the wrong path?
I think most of them are probably going down the wrong path. I mean, we're talking about New England, which isn't, a super conservative area. I live in a city that is so left-wing. They were, Jeff Sessions came to Portland the other week to talk about the opiate problem in America, to come bringing solutions and what we can do in the state of Maine, which is one of the worst hit states. And there were 200 people outside with abolish ICE signs protesting someone who is coming to our state to try and help us. You know, like that's the situation with my generation. It's not looking too good.
Jay, thanks for that call. Yeah, no, Jay's absolutely right. Our students are being fed misinformation at most institutions. I mean, it's not just a few. And it's not just the colleges either. It goes down into the high schools and even pre-high school. The indoctrination begins, and it is fundamentally anti-America and anti-free enterprise. We are going to go to a break, and we will come back with more after this. I want to go to a completely different topic now, and that is balloons. Now, I'm sure you read about the fact that all of a sudden there was a lot of concern about plastic straws. And do you ever wonder where this comes from? You know, I don't think any of us had spent 30 seconds thinking about plastic straws until a couple of weeks ago. And all of a sudden, the news is full of stuff about plastic straws and how they're damaging to the environment and they're dangerous to marine animals and how terrible it is that we're drinking out of plastic straws. And all of a sudden, there's this movement to ban the use of plastic straws. And, of course, there's a lot of companies that are happy to go along with that kind of pressure. Starbucks, for one, said, we are not going to give out plastic straws anymore. And on Powerline, I posted a picture from a Starbucks, promotional ad of summer beverages at Starbucks. There's like 5 or 6 of them, nicely photographed, and you got the plastic cup, and you got the plastic lid on the plastic cup, and then you got the plastic straw stuck through the hole in the plastic lid going down into the plastic cup. So Starbucks says we are going to be good liberals. We're going to stop using plastic straws. Now we're going to put compostable straws through the hole in the plastic lid on top of our plastic cup. And, these things take on a life of their own. And I believe there are a number of municipalities, probably some of the same ones that are sanctuary cities, if I had to guess, that have banned that terrible health hazard, plastic straws. Yeah, I don't care much about plastic straws. I honestly, if I never used another plastic straw in my life, I wouldn't miss them. I don't care. But it's really curious how these panics will come along. All of a sudden, there's this coordinated effort to drive something like the plastic straw menace and turn it into a major news story covered by all news outlets virtually. And from a major coordinated news story, it becomes a movement. And then you have the inevitable caving in to pressure from that movement of companies like Starbucks and various city councils around the country in a matter of days or at most weeks. And it's really remarkable how that kind of story gets generated and takes hold. Well, and one of the things that are odd about the plastic straw story is just how kind of trivial, plastic straws are in the greater scheme of things. And so if you were paying attention, you probably realized that it was not going to end with plastic straws. Plastic straws are just kind of the opening salvo. And sure enough, the Associated Press reports that environmental forces are moving on from the plastic straw crusade, and they are now starting to move against balloons. Yep, you heard that right, balloons. Just want to read from this Associated Press story from a day or two ago. The AP writes, now that plastic straws may be headed for extinction, could Americans' love of balloons be deflated? The joyous celebration of releasing balloons into the air has long bothered environmentalists, who say the pieces that fall back to Earth can be deadly to seabirds and turtles that eat them. Now, I suspect that the real problem that environmentalists see with the joyous celebration of releasing balloons into the air is the fact that it's a joyous celebration. Environmentalists tend to be dour killjoys, and they live in constant fear that somewhere somebody might be having fun, and they want to put a stop to it. So balloons have now come under attack, even though, as the Associated Press candidly acknowledges in its story, they say balloons are, quote, a very small part of environmental pollution. Well, I'll say that again. A very, very small part of environmental pollution is represented by balloons. So the AP goes on to quote a guy who's anti-balloon. He says, quote, "There are all kinds of alternatives to balloons, a lot of ways to express yourself," says Kenneth Lacoste, first warden of New Shoreham, Rhode Island, who cites posters, piñatas, and decorated paper. So these liberals are now telling us, if you want to celebrate, don't let go of a balloon. You've got all kinds of alternative ways to celebrate. You can put up posters, you can smash piñatas, and you can strew decorated paper around. I don't know. I suppose those things could create pollution as well. But, some of us may not want to smash a piñata. We may want to release a balloon. And that is a right that some want to take away from us. So continuing, what is it about balloons, like plastic straws, that ostensibly make them a target? Well, it really has to do with marine pollution, ocean pollution. And the AP explains that, sort of explains it. The AP says, balloons are not among the top 10 kinds of debris found in coastal cleanups. But Tung, another guy quoted in the story, says they're common and especially hazardous to marine animals, which can also get entangled in balloon strings. So what drives this ostensibly is concern about ocean pollution. Well, it's been reported in the news recently that about 90% of all ocean pollution comes from rivers in Africa and Asia. In other words, the United States is not a major source of marine pollution, let alone plastic straws and balloons originating in the United States. We just are not a significant source of the problem. But there's more, and some of this, I got to confess. I mean, there are sometimes you're reading a news story, and you just start to laugh. And for me, this is one of those times. The Associated Press goes on. They say, already a few states restrict balloon releases to some extent. According to the Balloon Council, which represents the industry and advocates for the responsible handling of its products to, quote, uphold the integrity of the professional balloon community, close quote. Now, I had no idea that there was such a thing as the professional balloon community, let alone an organization dedicated to upholding the integrity of the professional balloon community. But it turns out that there is. So we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we're going to have more about the left's nascent effort to suppress the use of plastic balloons and how the left will create these little micro issues and use them to try to exert control over all the rest of us. So first we had the great anti-plastic straw movement, and you kind of scratch your head and you say, that's so trivial. I mean, I can't believe they're talking about plastic straws, but this is the way the left likes to do it. They like to start with something small, and they get the thin edge of the wedge inserted, and then they go from there. And then they like to say, well, we ban plastic straws, but look, this other problem